Kaiju No. 8 is the newest battle shonen anime adaptation of a popular manga. Because of that, there is a lot of hype and expectations for the story to stand out within this season. And it absolutely does. Kaiju No. 8 is a good show, but it might not necessarily be your thing. So let me break it down without spoiling anything to see if it's something for you. Initially, I liked this anime, but I wasn't a huge fan of the first few episodes. The concept of a weak character obtaining a new supernatural ability that coincides with the enemy that humanity is fighting isn't exactly a fresh idea. Hibino Kafka dreams of standing beside his childhood friend Mina to fight off the monstrous kaiju, which level cities and end many innocent lives. While she became the strongest fighter of the defense force, he fell behind and settled for working as part of the cleanup crew, taking care of the bodies of the monsters that she took down. As he is turning 32 in the beginning of the story, he has one last chance to join the defense force. He has never truly given up on his dream, but every other time he had tried, he had failed the entrance exam. In a seemingly unrelated note, he also obtained the ability to transform into an extremely powerful kaiju. The initial setup of this story is a little slow, but once it gets into the meat of the story, there is a lot to love, and the pacing ramps up quickly. Hibino has to hide his ability from the defense force, assuming he will either be killed or locked up in a lab to be studied. This means, at least for most of the story so far, he has to progress based on his own personal merits, rather than a lucky superpower that fixes all his problems. Personally, I think this story would have been a lot better without his kaiju transformation ability, or perhaps if he had gotten it much later in the story. But it's an action battle anime. Of course, the main character has to have some special powers. As for the defense force itself, they use powerful combat suits, which meld with some people better than others. The more attuned you are with the suit, the stronger you can become. The fights in the story are all interesting enough, with a mix of strategies on how to defeat different kinds of kaiju, along with pure brute strength from some special talent. Even if the concepts are pretty standard for its genre, it still finds a way to be interesting, especially since besides the kaiju ability, Hibino is basically useless in actual combat. He has to find ways to be useful in other areas. This lets a lot of the side characters shine, with most of the squad getting stronger and more coordinated as a team, which is one of this anime's best aspects. The character relationships are very enjoyable, and everyone has their place in the story, instead of feeling like accessories to the main 1, 2, or 3 characters. I appreciate this, and I hope it doesn't fall away from it in the future. As for the kaiju side, there's not a lot revealed about what is going on. It's unclear where the kaiju come from, and what goal they have. There's a particularly interesting villain that I won't get into detail about because of spoilers, but depending on where they go with it, the mysteries that will be revealed about the kaiju could be a great or underwhelming part of the show going forward. I do have a few negatives for the series. Continuing with the kaiju, they don't always have that threatening Godzilla feel. A lot of them get taken down fairly easily, and there's often a lot of weak little ones running around as well. It makes it so everyone has something to do during the battles, but it does take away from the feeling that these are major threatening monsters. The enemies are taken down just a little too easily to build the kind of tension I associate with kaiju. Another complaint, especially notable in the beginning of the story, is that a lot of the comedy is overbearing and doesn't fit the tone of the show for me. I don't need it to be like Attack on Titan levels of seriousness, but the constant chibi freakout moments, especially whenever Hibino transforms into a kaiju, takes away a lot of the tension and momentum the series has. Beyond that, I don't have a lot to say for this show. It's good for sure, but it hasn't amazed or blown me away. It's unique enough that I enjoy every episode, but it's generic enough that I'm not dying to know what will happen next. Overall, I would say Kaiju No. 8 is worth watching if you like battle shonen or action stories in general. It's fun, it's hype, and the characters are enjoyable, but I wouldn't expect too much from it. Thanks so much for watching. Check out our review of Remonster here on the end screen, and comment something to boost engagement for me. Thanks! Jamiao.